Welcome to the Cruise TV, where we focus on the stories and the people behind some of the most amazing rides on the road. I'm your host, Stephanie Lastoria, and I'm coming to you from Haggerty Garage and Social in Burlington, Ontario. On this episode, we'll be looking at all things Lamborghini. We'll be looking at a 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo, first gen, a 2009 Lamborghini Gallardo LP560, and a 2018 Lamborghini Huracan Performante Spyder. Stay tuned, guys.
It's a 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo. I've had the car for just under a year. I was always a Porsche guy, and I used to go on drives with my brother, and I had a 911 Turbo as silver, and he had an R8 at the time. And when we would go on drives, I liked the Porsche a lot more, and the Porsche driving experience was a lot of fun, and that was always one of my dream cars, I would say. But seeing so many people react to the R8 and how much show kind of presence it had and people's reaction to it, it kind of drew me to a little bit more flashy car, and that's what really drew me to get this car specifically. Not too many modifications, just carbon skirts, carbon wing, and that's about it. To be honest, this is now my dream car. It wasn't always my dream car, but as I started getting into cars and getting a few different types of cars, this quickly became my dream car. Yeah, so growing up, I was definitely always a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So it's kind of natural that I went to started to enjoy things that involve speed and that kind of thing. So unfortunately, I had no money or anything like that. So my gateway into that was bikes, motorcycles, and it was pretty much the cheapest speed you can get. And then as things progressed, was able to kind of start getting into cars and enjoying things like that, which is a lot of fun. A lot of fun getting into cars, and had a few different cars over the years, and always had an affinity to vehicles and cars and that kind of thing. But it was always based on like performance and speed and that kind of thing. So I was kind of drawn more to the Porsche world and that kind of thing. So I always wanted to get a 911, preferably a 911 Turbo. So I was actually able to pick one of those up, which was a lot of fun. And at the same time or similar time, Lucas was getting into some cars. That's my brother, which was great. We'd be able to go out and go on drives together, and we'd go out to just these roads that we would drive when we were kids in these box cars, or went back and drove them on the motorcycles and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. I'd be tailing right behind him in the 911, and he'd be sitting there, and at the time it was the R8, and just having a ton of fun. But one thing that I noticed when we were on these drives, and it's what really actually drew me to this car specifically, and Lamborghini as well. One was when we ended up getting a Lamborghini. It's a lot better and more enjoyable car than I had initially ever thought. I kind of just thought they were all show, no driver comfort, no like reliability, no like performance. I just thought they were all show, no go, and they're actually quite enjoyable to drive, a lot of fun to drive, and they're quite reliable, at least these models. And so anyhow, but the thing that really drew me to them was when we'd be out driving their cars, and I was in a silver 996 Turbo, and I would be behind him in the Lamborghini or the R8, whatever, and it was all eyes on that car, which I never really liked being in the spotlight. I was always like, again, kind of the opposite of the all show no go. Like I like to be the sleeper kind of setup, and that's why I like that car. But we'd be driving together, and you'd be going along, and you'd see, just on a normal drive down for lunch or something like that, you'd see 10, 15, 20 plus people, their days just light up. You know, they would see, you can't miss the Lambo. And their days would just light up. And it was, you know, kids, and you go into a parking lot, and then people come up and, you know, ask to sit in the car or get to enjoy that. And it was literally like the Porsche didn't exist, which I was okay with, but I was like, it's so weird being in the passenger seat. I gotta say, I'm never in the passenger seat in anything. But yeah, like I said, this car, it is good fun to drive for sure. But kind of like I was saying there, you'd be driving along, and you would literally, I would see the Lamborghini specifically, because it has the most road presence that everyone notices. You couldn't miss it, and it would literally change people's days for the better. You'd see just smiles, like kids like taking photos, parents coming out taking photos for it to send back to their kids, because their kids always loved that car. And something kind of switched inside of me that was like, it's almost like I could be doing the same thing and having a bigger impact or changing people's days for the better. It's almost selfish of me to just drive my car around as a sleeper. And, you know, it's all speed, no one sees anything, that kind of thing. So completely shifted to like the opposite spectrum, and now drive a bright yellow OG first gen Gallardo, which is kind of like the staple Lambo from like at least my generation. That's like the Lambo that everybody thinks of when they think of Lamborghini. So yeah, it was kind of a lot of fun, and that's honestly for me what it's all about, is just going out either with my brother or really close friends. We just did an amazing trip down through the States. You know, it was 65 plus cars, and our immediate crew that we were with were all Lamborghinis, and just one of the most, you know, every day kind of felt like that. These are once in a lifetime moments, and it was just like over and over and over and over again for 6 days straight of you know, driving mountain roads and scenic roads with your best friends and your brother, and yeah, it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. Coming from not being able to have that, and then actually getting to that point, like, it is everything that you crack it up to be, and it's better in a lot of ways. And sure, yeah, there's areas of it that maybe don't live up to the hype or whatnot, but absolutely, it's like, in my opinion, it's far better than I had ever expected. Or and if a V10 can't put a smile on your face, I don't know what does.
All right, so the car behind me is a 2009 Lamborghini LP560, or Gallardo. I have had the car for almost a year to the day. So this car was always my dream car growing up. Actually, the one beside it, which is a first-gen Gallardo, is my dream car, but this was available and close enough, and it was the perfect car for what I was looking for. So currently the car has an exhaust system on it, an Avior system. It will be getting a tune, it will be lowered this winter, and a Superleggera wing on the back. So this is actually my dream car. Ever since I was about 20 years old, my dream car has been a Lamborghini Gallardo, specifically a first gen. And aside from that, I guess next steps, as this is now accomplished the goal of owning my dream car, would be the Lamborghini SVJ. Ever since I was a kid, I think I went out to like some kind of a car show, and I remember seeing a Lamborghini. At the time, it wasn't a Gallardo, but as I got later in life, that image of a Lambo always stuck in my head. And in my early 20s, I was working for a company, and I actually met an entrepreneur that owned a Lambo, specifically a Gallardo. And after that, I was sold. I was like, I need to own one of those. And the pursuit of owning a car actually ended up dictating a lot of the choices that I made in my life. Funny enough, in my early 20s. Which involved me, leaving the job that I was in, as I realized to get a car like this was going to be very difficult to stay in a salaried position that I was in. And I actually started my first company with I guess, part of the goal, or one of the goals, was a material goal to own a Lamborghini Gallardo, specifically a first gen. And funny enough, my brother, who's also on the show, on this episode, that first gen was my ultimate dream car. So years went by, a lot of business successes and failures, trying to get to a point where I could actually afford to own a car like this. And last year, I was finally able to be in a position to actually buy this specific car. When I bought the car, it was the ideal spec, I guess you could say. It was a 2-owner car, clean title. The guy had it in its own garage. It was very well maintained, very well cared for. And he needed to fire sale it. So it just happened to be perfect timing. My brother and I were actually out at dinner, and we were browsing Kijiji, and we saw about 15 minutes earlier this car was posted. And we called from the dinner table, and we were like, we got to get this car. Just call him if we have to wire him an e-transfer or something to hold the deposit. It was about a 3-hour drive from Kingston, which is where we live. And the next day we actually went up and secured the car. And that was like a huge, memorable moment. Obviously, being able to go and get your dream car with your brother after, a lot of ups and downs, turbulence trying to get there. So this car, when we got it, was completely stock. That was the other thing. There was no, it's never been on coils, never had an exhaust done. It was stock exhaust. So the first thing that we did was put a stock exhaust on it, or take the stock exhaust off of it and put an Avior exhaust on the car, which I think sounds really good. It's definitely opened up over the about 30,000 kilometers that I've put on it since ownership. And that's the other thing. This car has gotten driven a lot. I think purchasing the car, if I remember correctly, it had about 71,000, 72,000 K on it. I believe we're over 100,000 K on this now. So the really cool, I guess, nostalgia part of this car, which I don't think I could ever sell this car, was my brother and I, we got to do our first proper car rally this year through the Ace of Spade rally that Saturn puts on. And that involved us going from Toronto down to North Carolina. It was over 5,000 of the hardest kilometers you could put on this car. And the really cool thing about these cars is they really do tick every single box, every single metric. You've got speed, you've got the aesthetics, you've got, it's you can't get into a car like this, do a pull like that, and not just be excited. There's something that happens, kids know it too. You'll see you'll go to a car meet, or you'll be at the mall or wherever, and a kid, whether they're 3 years old or 4 years old, they know there's something different about this car. And I think that's what's really cool about, the car community and what cars can do for people, is it's more than just, metal and rubber and glass. It really is an emotive experience, and this car specifically ticks, for me anyways, all of those boxes. And I think, I appreciate a lot of different cars, tuner cars to some of the other exotics out there, but there's something about a Lamborghini that is so special. There's really no other manufacturer like it. And I can't ever imagine. First off, I'm super grateful to be in a position where I can own a car like this and share the experience of owning a car like this. And that's one thing that I've noticed about Lamborghini owners specifically. I've yet to meet a Lambo owner that does not go out of their way to give people an experience when they see their cars. And whether it's popping a downshift and cracking it by somebody when they're like, rev it, or whether that is, you know, taking the time to let somebody sit in it or whatever, just kind of building and fostering that desire in other people to own a car like this one day. So that's very, very cool. But if anyone is, you know, looking for the ideal exotic, in my opinion, that is the Lamborghini Gallardo.
So this is a 2018 Lamborghini Huracan Performante Spyder. I've had the car for about 4 or 5 months now. I bought it in May. The reason I picked this car is because when I was a child, when I was 10 years old, I went to the beach in Montenegro with my uncle, and I saw this red Lamborghini at the store. And I was like, can I have that car? And he bought it for me. And ever since then, I've been super fascinated with the Lamborghini. So the only mods I've done to the car, I've lowered it, I've put spacers on it, and I did a tune. Other than that, it's pretty much stock. My dream car is exactly what you're seeing behind me, so I've been dreaming about this for years, to finally have this car and be able to drive it and see the reactions from people, making people smile. It's honestly a dream come true. So really my passion for anything really on wheels started when I was probably like 2 or 3 years old. I got my first bicycle, and I would just ride my bike around town. And for me, anything on wheels relates to freedom. I love getting in my car, driving around. It lets me clear my mind. I get to go wherever I want and do whatever I want. And as a kid, I would always play with toy cars. Obviously, every little boy's dream is to have a really nice car when they grow up, but it really started when I was 10 years old. I was in Montenegro with my uncle, my sister, my aunt, and there was this red Lamborghini Diablo die-cast model at the store at the beach, and I asked my uncle if he could buy it for me, and he said, yeah, no problem. So he ended up getting me that red car. It was a Lamborghini, and I fell in love with Lamborghini from that moment on. And then when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I always wanted to go on those toy Jeeps that they would have driving around, where you pay and you drive that little Jeep. But for whatever reason, we could never afford that. So I told myself, when I grow up, I'm gonna get myself whatever I want. I'm gonna be able to go wherever I want. So that's kind of where my car journey started from. And then when I first learned to drive, I learned to drive on a standard manual Toyota Tercel. It was a 4-speed. It was my mom's car, and she actually taught me how to drive. And then from there, I really, really wanted to buy my own car. I wanted a BMW or whatever, but I couldn't really afford it. So when Iron Man came out, and then he ended up driving that R8, I was like, holy shit, I really want an R8. So when I started my business, I would literally drive by the Audi dealership every single day, go inside, look at the R8. I would look at it through the window. Every day I would drive by there, look at the R8, visualizing it. I knew I always wanted one. And finally last year, I could afford it, but I was like, I'm not gonna buy it yet. I didn't really think I could afford it too much, but I was going to look at a parking lot in Brampton, and I saw an R8 on Auto Trader, 10 minutes from the parking lot that I was gonna go look at for us to seal coat. And I was like, I'm gonna go after the parking lot. I'm just gonna take it for a test drive. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm just gonna go have a look at it. If that doesn't make you smile, I don't know what will, right? I went to go look at the R8. I took it for a test drive. I was like, I'm not gonna buy it. And we got back from the test drive. I looked over at the guy and I was just like thinking to myself, I was like, I gotta buy this thing now. I can't not buy it. It's amazing. So I called out my friend Sash, my best friend, and I was like, yo, Sash, man, I just test drove this R8. Like, should I buy the car? He was like, yeah, man, get the car. So I went, I bought the R8. Dream come true. Absolutely love the car. I met so many amazing people through the car community. You don't realize how much your life's gonna change and the people that you're gonna meet just by owning a supercar. It's absolutely incredible. I met so many amazing people. Got introduced to a health product through the car community called Unicity, and been doing that since February, and I've always wanted that red Lamborghini. I've been looking at Lambos for 10 years as well. It's really the car that I want, but the R8 was kind of a stepping stone for me into the Lambo. So I thought the Lamborghini was a couple more years out, but and I never actually knew which color I was gonna get. I didn't know if I was gonna get a white one or a blue one or a red one or a black one or whatever. And I joined the Unicity team, and I said, once my commissions can cover the payment for a Lamborghini, I'm gonna buy it. So this May, the commission surpassed a Lamborghini payment, so I went, I grabbed this car, and sure enough, it's a red Lamborghini, just like the one that my uncle got for me when I was 10 years old at the beach. So just funny, really funny how that worked out. I drive this thing every day. I'm not your regular supercar owner that just lets their car sit in the garage and take it out on a nice day. No, I'm literally, if I'm going somewhere, I'm taking the Lamborghini. This is the only car I drive. You're gonna see this all over town in Kitchener. You barely ever get to see a Lambo driving the streets of Kitchener, but you're gonna see this one every single day on every single street, because I love to drive and I love the attention this car gets. And there's nothing better than driving down a street and seeing the smiles that this puts on kids' faces. Doesn't matter if they're 2 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, or even some guys that are 50, 60 years old. They give you the thumbs up, they tell you to rev it. It's just like you're going out there in this car and you're just taking everybody's energy. Everybody's giving you all this positive energy. So it's something that I really can't explain. I love driving it. I love showcasing it. It's incredible. So having the opportunity to actually drive this car, my dream car, every single day is just a really, really incredible feeling. It gives you a whole bunch of confidence. You stand taller, you walk faster, you just feel better. Your whole energy is a lot better when you can step out of a Lamborghini. So I would say, you know, now when anybody asks me, hey, should I buy that car? I tell them, yes, absolutely. If you can afford it, buy your dream car, get a supercar. It's absolutely gonna change your life completely.
Okay guys, so that's our episode. Thank you so much for watching The Cruise TV. If you want to be featured on future episodes, please reach out to us on our Instagram. Again, I'm your host, Stephanie Lastoria, and we will catch you cruising on the open road.